Hello, Joshua Rempel here with the Enduro Method podcast. Also here with co-host Dane Tony.
Hello.
Today we're going to be starting a nutrition series podcast. So this will be number 1. We got 2 and 3 coming up. On the first one today, we're going to be talking about just kind of basics to nutrition, some of the health, longevity, what are you eating, how to start figuring that stuff out, and then according to maybe your personal goals, how to look at figuring out a direction to go, whether you're trying to gain muscle mass, you're happy where you are, you want to maintain, or potentially if you want to lose some weight. So that's kind of on today. Next episode, we'll be diving deeper into the macronutrients, so fats, carbs, and proteins, stuff like that. And then on the last one, more of race day specific or long weekend rides or stuff like that. So really getting more specific on how to prep and plan for that stuff.
Yeah. So today's, to kick off the nutrition series podcasts, today's episode we're going to be talking about the basics of nutrition and kind of where to start when looking at what we eat. So first off, we're going to discuss why nutrition matters.
Yeah, basically from a health and longevity standpoint, nutrition and then probably sleep would be on the top of the list. Mm-hmm. And so being able to eat to fuel your activity, your lifestyle, is very important. And the better fuel that you put in your body, the better performance you're going to get out of your body. So that's it. And then if you're going more to a specific performance standpoint, it becomes real important because you got to fuel the activities that you're pursuing.
Mm-hmm. Another piece of why nutrition matters, besides longevity and performance, is body composition. Everyone wants to look better naked.
Yeah.
So that will help when you dial in your nutrition. Not only will it make you feel good, but look good as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also just become real apparent within the last year and just the COVID-19 pandemic and that stuff that, being leaner, being healthier has a big impact on overall health. So, being able to organize your food and your nutrition in a sense that, again, aligns with your lifestyle, your goals, but also keeps you healthy, keeps your immune system up and all that stuff. So it's really important.
Yeah. Our favorite quote is, don't put shitty gas in your body. We don't put shitty fuel in our dirt bikes. We put premium. So it's the same kind of concept. We put, the more premium fuels you put in your body, the better it's going to run.
Yeah. And while you're putting premium fuel in your bike, you're in there getting a Snickers bar. Finish out the drive, right? So, yeah, it's something to start being aware of. So first, I guess, there's a big difference between eating for health and eating for performance. You're going to be consuming a lot less food if you're fairly sedentary lifestyle, not necessarily out there looking to perform at a top level. Diet looks really different than if you're training 2 to 3 hours in the gym or on a bike every day and racing on the weekends. The amount of food, if you're looking at it from just purely that perspective, food is energy. And so obviously each one of the macronutrient plays a different role in the body, but ultimately fuels energy. So if you're, have a baseline need that you need to consume daily to maintain body weight for your current activity level, and all of a sudden that drastically, your how much you eat drastically increases, but your lifestyle hasn't changed, you're going to eventually over time add weight to your body. Just like on the flip side, if your activity level doesn't change, but then you decrease how much you're eating per day, you'll eventually lose weight on your body. And so the first step to any of this is just kind of becoming aware of what you eat. And it's different for everybody. I mean, obviously I carry more mass than Dane, I eat more food than Dane
How much do you weigh?
right now. 220.
And I weigh 160.
Yeah. So there's a good, 60-pound difference between us. So we're definitely going to have a different
So I
level
should
of
not
food
be
intake.
eating the same amount of food that Josh is eating. Not that I even think I could. And another thing that just popped up into my head is we should have said at the beginning of the podcast, we're not like I guess we're certified nutritionists, but we're not here to give like medical advice.
Yes, correct. If you have medical conditions surrounding nutritional intake, we're not here to tell you how to eat.
Basically, neither one of us are registered dietitians.
Exactly.
I personally have a couple nutrition certifications. My degree was in health and exercise science. One of the certifications I have is precision nutrition. And then a lot of what we learn, or a lot of what we know, is just through experience and being in the industry.
Yeah.
And then the other caveat is, oftentimes, me personally, I tend to stray away from nutrition just because it's almost like religion. There's, you either you'll find people that just preach one way or the other, and it's like you can't. I find it difficult to maybe like, what am I trying to say? Like there's a lot of different methods out there.
Yes,
I'm like saying that all the methods are great. You have to find what works for you.
Exactly.
We're going to be telling you what we know based on our own experience.
And on the flip side of that, what works for you right now doesn't mean that's going to work for you for the rest of your life, nor that you have to do it for the rest of your life. There's nothing wrong with dabbling in something, seeing if it works. You maybe even get great results, and then you switch it up and do something else.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of the things people just like get really bought in, digging their heels, and then it's them against the world, or their group against the world, or all that stuff. So there's many different ways to get great results and get healthier.
Yeah.
And usually you got to really look at who's trying to sell you what is being preached, because there's an agenda behind everything. So a lot of times
the bottom line is just you have to figure it out for yourself.
Yes. What I'm getting at is you need to find the people that maybe they're trying to sell a book or sell something, but they're presenting both sides of the evidence equally. And they're not skewing the results or the tests just to promote what they're selling, because there's a lot of that out there.
Yeah. So back to the topic. What are you eating? So quality of food. What does that look like?
All right, quality food. I think an easy place to start would just be thinking of whole foods as kind of the gold standard, and then processed foods on a sliding scale down to not as healthy, right? The more processed the food, and processed could be an interesting word, right? Because like ground beef is processed, but it's less processed than, let's say, I don't know.
I would just go off of like packaging.
Kraft macaroni and cheese, right? With the cheese in a bag that's powdery. It's more processed than, like a block of whole aged cheddar, right? So that's kind of how we're looking at the whole foods versus processed. And a whole food is literally a whole food, like an apple or ground beef, still a whole food.
And you can go off of ingredients. How many ingredients are in it?
Yep. You also could have something that's full of whole foods, like a bar, one of the paleo bars, but it's also got a bunch of sugar in it, right? So there's, again, like whole foods are kind of easy to use as a reference because it's literally one thing, like a piece of fruit, a vegetable, something like that. And then there's that sliding scale that goes down to heavily processed ingredients inside a box, inside a can, right, with added sugars and all that stuff that are obviously less healthy than if you were sticking with that whole food idea.
So I guess a good question to ask yourself would be like, how much of your food is coming from a package?
Yeah, exactly.
Or that you're not actually making yourself.
Yep.
If you're eating out a lot,
Yeah, you have no idea what's being put in it necessarily, right? I mean,
so whether your food's coming from a package and A, and B, if you know what's in it.
right. And so tracking that to start, just being aware of what you're eating, writing it down in a journal or something like that.
Yeah, so basically, if anyone ever comes to us and says, I want to improve my nutrition, and where do I start? It's what, like, we need to see what you're eating.
Yeah.
So writing down everything that you consume and it oftentimes is truly eye-opening. That could be eating everything from a package, or you're like, well, I didn't know I was just munching on X, Y, and Z for like, a handful of times throughout the day.
Right.
So the other thing would be taking a step back, sugar and oils, and really kind of looking at those things, and looking at like how much sugar is actually in things that you're consuming. It's like jaw dropping. You think you think you're eating healthy, and you start reading some labels and what the ingredients are, and I mean, sugar is in everything. And everything. And then the other thing is oils. So this is one thing that Josh and I have recently kind of been really paying attention to. And if your thing that you're eating has like safflower oil, canola oil, sunflower oil,
vegetable
oil, like all these oils have been shown to have some really negative effects on your health and your body, of like the systems of your body. So like really kind of looking at what are you consuming, what is in the food, and how on that spectrum, as far as quality goes, where does it lie? So like reading the labels, like, okay, you're gonna make, for an example, we had zoodles the other day. So zucchini, where you spiralize the noodles, and then ground beef, and then I had like pasta sauce. I am also not a very good chef, so there's a little caveat there. So I bought pasta sauce. And so I was in the pasta sauce aisle, and I read like all the labels of pasta sauce, and there was sugar in every single one of them. Not every single one, but a lot of them. Probably I would say 85% or more of them. And then second, because we've been paying attention to the oils, like it was actually really hard for me to find a pasta sauce without oil, like a refined oil in it. I ended up finding one, and that was from a company that I know. It's called, Primal Kitchen.
Yeah.
So they put avocado oil. So avocado oil would be okay.
Real quick on the oil thing, just so we're not leaving you hanging. It's the seed oils that are.
Seed oils.
There's more and more evidence supporting the fact that they're not great for health. More inflammation. There's something to do with. Actually, it works in the body some way to actually promote fat storage. There's a bunch of interesting stuff out there on that. But the oils that are healthy, because fat is a necessity to life, and healthy fats are fantastic for you. Avocado oil, olive oil.
I think coconut oil.
Those are the two main ones we use. Coconut oil, and I think macadamia nut oil or something like that. But basically, if you stick with those three, coconut, olive oil, and avocado oil, you're in a really good spot.
Yeah.
Right.
But just to shine light,
sunflower oil, safflower,
I think.
Safflower, and peanut oil. Actually, I think peanut oil is good to go. No, sesame seed oil is good to go. I know that one.
Okay, yeah. Sesame seed.
But some of these other seed oils.
Vegetable is really common.
Yeah, they're in everything.
Yeah, and I this is fresh in my brain because I've been paying attention lately. Because it's easy, anything that comes in a package, you start reading what's in it, and it's like, wow, you think you're doing good with, vegetable chips.
Or beef jerky.
Beef jerky.
Right? You're like, oh, sweet, we did a gas station stop. I got a beef jerky and, I don't know, that's about all you can get in there. Maybe a bottle of water. And you look at it, I get back in the truck, throw the jerky on the console, and Dane picks it up, starts reading the ingredients. She's like, oh, this has whatever oil in it. I'm like, Jesus, I forgot to look. Yeah.
High fructose corn syrup is one I was yelling at you about.
Yeah, we've done a pretty good job of cutting that one out.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of seems like a fairly well-known one within the last couple of years. Like a lot of companies are doing good to minimize the use of that.
Yeah. So I feel like we spent a lot of time of like rad X, like, so what should people be eating would be, lean protein. Obviously, like the happier your animal is, the better quality the meat, I would say. But if that's a stretch for you, I would just say like focus on lean protein. And then vegetables, eating vegetables. So shopping around the perimeter of the grocery store is a common phrase. Hitting the produce aisle and then hitting the butcher area wherever they have the meat. And then like basing your meals and basing your diet around those two things, your lean protein and vegetables.
Right. And then as you're, if that's like your mainstay, you're using the starches and potatoes and carbs and rice as a kind of fuel for activity.
Yep.
And on a quick note, back to sugar real quick. We're not here to demonize sugar because there's a lot of that going on too. And it's not that sugar by itself is inherently a bad thing. Like it's basically a performance enhancer. If you're using it specifically around exercise, it can be a great way to boost energy, longevity through exercise and all that stuff. So it's just using it at the right time. And then honestly, it depends a lot where you are on the spectrum of health to begin with on how well your body can use it as fuel. So somebody who is, let's say, more overweight is probably actually going to have a harder time using sugar for fuel than somebody who's more fit and lean, just by the nature of how your metabolism is. And so there is this idea of metabolic flexibility where your body's able to use the things you're taking in for fuel, right? Longer, slow activities, you're going to be burning fat. Faster, shorter, intense stuff, you're going to be burning sugars, right? Because you need that instant spike. And hopefully the idea being the more you train, the better you eat, your body gets better at switching between those systems and being super efficient.
Yep. So, there's sugar. So back to the lean protein and vegetables, making that your base for which you build your nutrition and make decisions as to what your meals are comprised of.
And fruits.
Yep. Fruits and vegetables. Yep. So step one would be tracking your food. And we already talked about this a little bit, but writing down what you eat. That can be done on a pen and paper. There's apps for it too. We like to use the MyFitnessPal app. And just bringing awareness to what are you putting in your mouth, bringing awareness to what are you putting in your body. Oftentimes people don't even realize what they're doing. Realize that they didn't have any vegetables throughout an entire day. Or if they are eating vegetables, it's maybe once a day, and
right.
That's it.
And the other part of that is you can't just track one day.
Right.
Because ultimately you're probably actually going to do better on that day in the beginning because you are tracking. It needs to be like 3 days minimum, I would say. And it should be the 3 days that you eat the worst. It shouldn't be like, I'm pulling it together on Monday, so I'm going to track Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It should be like, we're going to a house party on Friday. We're going to drink some beer and eat some chicken wings. I'm going to track Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah,
and I think what you're getting at is just being honest with yourself.
Yeah, don't cheat the system.
So step one, write it down. Track it. What are you eating? I would say go for a whole week.
Yeah. And don't change eating habits.
Yeah.
Don't no guilt, no self.
Or if you do, it's okay. Like maybe that's a step in the right direction. You know, but the goal is just to bring
awareness.
Yeah. What are you eating? What are you consuming?
And drinking. Because liquid calories add up. And that goes for everything from soda to sweet tea. What else out there? Alcohol. All that stuff. So you could be eating an amazing diet of whole foods, vegetables, fruits, and then drinking 2-3 Coca-Colas a day and putting yourself in a hard spot just from the calories being drank. So I know Danny and I basically, if it's not, I drink coffee, water, a lot of seltzer water, no sugar in that. The LaCroix or what's that other one?
I think Polar.
Polar, yeah, a lot of those, and then beer. So those are basically the four drinks. I mean, that's it. Like, I don't know what else. We'll add like some electrolyte powders to water and stuff for
when riding.
Yeah, big days or races. But outside of that, we don't drink calories.
No. Yep. For me, coffee, water. I mean, we actually only drink alcohol on the weekends. We don't actually drink alcohol throughout the week. So that's also another topic within itself. But like, you know, how many days a week are you drinking alcohol, and how much? To look at that too and evaluate that, because unfortunately, there's actually nothing good about drinking alcohol.
Well, there is and there isn't, right? From a body composition standpoint, there's nothing good about drinking alcohol.
From a health, body composition, and performance piece, there's not a whole lot of positive.
Right. But mental health, it's really good. I'm just kidding. So, yeah, that's definitely a big one. Because even like, depending on the beer you're drinking, it's anywhere from 100 to 300 calories in a bottle or can, 12 ounces. 3 of those bad boys, and you're already at anywhere from 300 to, 900 calories. And as we go in on the next podcast and talk more about macronutrients and stuff, that could be like a third of your daily calories.
Right.
And you're probably actually going to make some more worse decisions, because maybe you're like, well, I'm not going to eat that ice cream in the freezer. Then you have 3 beers and you're like,
ice cream sounds pretty good.
I'm going to have that ice cream in there. So it doesn't really help decision making.
No. From
a food standpoint. But yeah, so in the beginning, it needs to be a low barrier to entry, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not like, cool, I want to make some changes in my diet, I got to go all in tomorrow, right? It's more like, okay, I'm going to get a pen and paper or put notes on my phone or whatever. I'm going to track what I eat. If you don't, like, and again, when we do the macros, we'll talk about weighing food and scales and stuff like that, but not important. Just write down I ate a handful of broccoli, 3 whole eggs, and 2 pieces of bacon. Boom. Write that down. Track everything throughout the day. Do it for a couple days minimum would be my suggestion.
Say, go for a full week if you can.
The longer the better. And then once you do that, go back and look at it and be like, okay, cool, this was pretty good. You know, you'll also see trends in there. At 3 o'clock, I get real cranky. I need a snack. Mm-hmm. I go to the supermarket or the gas station, whatever, and I'm ended up buying a bag of chips. Mm-hmm. And that might just happen naturally. And then once it's written down, you're like, oh, should I do that 3-4 days a week?
Yeah. I mean, this will kind of tie into our macronutrients one, but you could, once you start getting used to like that, say you do a week of tracking food, maybe it's the first couple days you're just writing down what you eat. Then you're writing down what you eat and how much of it. And then to build on that, when you're eating. A lot of times, so many people We have a physical gym, Target Athletics. So many people don't eat throughout the day. So they eat like nothing throughout the day. Or if they do, it's like little bits and snacks and stuff like that. And then they just gorge themselves at night. Because you're basically, throughout the day, most of us are typically busy, we're doing stuff, we're distracted. Or maybe you just don't have time to eat or not prepared. And so they get off of work and they stop at the grocery store on the way home, or even stop at the gas station, whatever it may be, and they get a bag of potato chips for the ride home, consume the whole bag by the time they get home, they're munching on stuff while they're making dinner, and it's like a slippery slope. And so going back to that metabolic flexibility, it's just like, how is that conducive to that? So just, looking at too, like when you're eating, like, are you at that 3:00 time mark getting cranky and all of a sudden you need something to eat and you go for, not the healthiest thing.
Yeah. I think the most important part of that is you're trying to set yourself up for success. So if you know that you go this long period of time without eating and then make bad food decisions because you're starving, that's the issue. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are things like if it fits your macros, or intermittent fasting, carnivore, vegan, what else? Everything. Paleo. 30 days to...
Weight Watchers.
Yeah.
What is the A one? That starts with an A.
Oh, Atkins?
Atkins, yep.
I was like 90s, 2000s. Anyways, they can all potentially work, right? But if and again, some of them might work. Carb cycling, there's another one. So some of those might work for you now, but they might not work for you later, and that's okay. But the problem with the intermittent fasting idea, which Dane was kind of getting at, is you can have complete success with that. But if you're somebody who makes bad food choices when they're starving, then maybe that's not the right way for you, and you should spread your meals out more evenly throughout the day.
Yeah, it's just getting it down. What are your goals? And taking steps from there to tweak your nutrition to align better with your goals.
Yes, and one more quick note on the other thing. There's not inherently anything wrong with eating all your food or a majority of your food in the morning or in the evening or in the middle of the day. Again, just from a real generic standpoint, let's say you're somebody who needs 2,000 calories a day to maintain, right? That's like with your lifestyle, how much energy you expend with the job. So maybe you're sitting at a desk all day, but every evening you do a mountain bike ride or a walk with the dog or whatever. And then weekends you have one kind of day outside and the other day you're doing chores around the house. But it averages out to where 2,000 calories a day, you've been doing 2,000 calories a day for a year, same body weight, same body comp in the mirror, all that stuff. If you eat all of those 2,000 calories in the evening, right before bed, it's going to change nothing. You're not going to lose weight. You're not going to gain weight. Doesn't matter. If you eat all those calories in the morning, you're not going to lose weight. You're not going to gain weight. At least not in any drastic measure. There might be some changes in other things, but for the most part, again, because that's your baseline rate of energy expenditure, you're going to just kind of hang out and maintain right around that same body weight. You could spread that 2,000 calories out over 3 meals throughout the day evenly. You're going to be in the same spot. So what it really boils down to, in the end, if you want to make changes, it's not when you eat the food necessarily. Obviously, there's small things. It's how much you eat, quality of what you're eating, and then how much energy you're expending outside of that, right? So you could add cardio or weightlifting. That's going to change how much energy you expend during the day and when you rest and all that stuff. You could change the quantity of the food. That's going to change. So really, it all starts with becoming aware in the beginning, sitting down or standing up, whatever, tracking your food, right, over the period of a couple days at least, and then being able to look at that and then figuring out what you want to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our basics of nutrition episode number 1, nutrition series podcast. So yeah, just takeaways, think about quality over quantity right now. What are you eating? Find out, track it. And then next week, or 2 weeks, we do this podcast bi-weekly. The next episode will be diving into more of that quantity piece, the quantity. So how much are you eating, and how to tweak that and refine it to better suit your goals and where you're looking to go there. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think if anybody's listening, hopefully it gets out there a little bit.
Hopefully people are listening.
Ask some questions. Shoot it to us.
Yeah. If you want to address anything super specific nutrition related.
Or generally that we maybe we skipped over, said something, and then we never came back to it, which is probably a very good possibility.
Yeah, just shoot us a DM. You can either message us on Instagram at Enduro Method, or you can email us info@enduromethod.com.
There's a Facebook thing out there too, right?
Facebook, honestly, I
know it's hard.
I know we're not as good on Facebook, but it does exist. It will get to us eventually. I would say a more rapid response would be from Instagram or email, though.
Yeah.
And yeah, we hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this is valuable to you, and we look forward to the next one.